Imagine this: you're a struggling farmer, barely making ends meet, when a billionaire shows up at your doorstep with an offer you can't refuse. He's selling a horse, but not just any horse. This one's labeled worthless, a lost cause, and he's practically giving it away for just $1. You take the deal, thinking it's just another animal to feed, until one day you discover the truth. This isn't just some ordinary horse. This creature carries a secret so rare, so valuable, that its bloodline is the stuff of legends. At the center of this unbelievable story are two men from completely different worlds. One, a wealthy tycoon who deals in fortunes and sees everything, even living creatures, as numbers on a balance sheet. The other, a simple farmer who believes in hard work and second chances. When their paths cross over a seemingly worthless animal, neither of them could have predicted what would happen next. The billionaire had his reasons for selling the horse so cheap. Maybe he thought it was broken beyond repair. Maybe he didn't care. But the farmer saw something different, a spark, a flicker of something extraordinary hidden beneath the surface. And then, the discovery. The markings, the lineage, the way the horse moved. It all pointed to one impossible truth. This wasn't just a horse. It was the last of a legendary breed, a treasure thought to be lost forever. But here's where things get even more intense. Because now that the truth is out, the billionaire wants the horse back. And he's not asking nicely. Suddenly, the farmer finds himself in the middle of a high-stakes battle, one man's greed against another's determination to protect what's rightfully his. The legal threats start rolling in, the pressure mounts, and the farmer realizes this fight is far from over. So what happens next? Does the billionaire have a legal claim, or was that dollar sale final? And just how much is this legendary horse really worth? The farmer had always trusted his instincts. That's how he'd survived years of droughts, bad harvests, and the constant struggle to keep his land. So when he first laid eyes on the scrawny, neglected horse, something inside him just clicked. It wasn't the way the animal looked, its ribs showing, its coat dull, but the way it held itself. There was a quiet pride in its stance, an almost regal defiance, as if it knew it was meant for something greater. Meanwhile, the billionaire had written the horse off long ago. To him, it was just another failed investment. He'd bought it years earlier on a whim, hoping to breed champions, but when the horse showed no promise, he tossed it aside like a bad stock. That's why selling it for $1 meant nothing to him. It was just clearing out the dead weight. But what he didn't know was that the horse's true value wasn't in its performance. It was in its blood. After taking the horse home, the farmer noticed little things: the way its ears twitched at distant sounds, the unusual pattern of its gait, almost like it was dancing. Then, one evening, an old stable hand passing through the town stopped dead in his tracks when he saw the animal. His hands trembled as he examined its markings, a faint star-shaped patch on its forehead, a rare trait known only in one nearly extinct lineage. "This ain't just any horse," he whispered. "This is a Valentino. They were said to be all gone, but this one's the real deal." The name sent a chill down the farmer's spine. The Valentino breed was legendary horses, so fast, so intelligent, they were once owned only by royalty. Their bloodline was worth millions, and if this really was the last of its kind, then that meant the billionaire had just handed over a fortune for a single dollar. But secrets like this don't stay hidden for long. Word travels fast in small towns, and soon whispers reached the billionaire's ears. At first, he laughed it off: impossible. He'd had experts examine that horse years ago, and they'd all said the same thing: worthless. But then the rumors grew louder. Photos surfaced, and when he finally saw the evidence for himself, his blood ran cold. He'd made a catastrophic mistake. Now, the billionaire wasn't the kind of man who accepted losses. If there was even a chance that horse was a Valentino, he'd move heaven and earth to get it back. His lawyers were already drafting papers, calling the sale a misunderstanding, claiming the farmer had tricked him. But the farmer wasn't backing down. That horse had been left to rot. He was the one who'd saved it, cared for it. Then, one morning, a sleek black car rolled up the farmer's dirt driveway. A man in an expensive suit stepped out, holding an envelope. Inside, A single sentence that changed everything. "We're taking this to court." The farmer knew he was outmatched. He had no money for lawyers, no powerful friends. But what he did have was proof the horse was thriving now, its true nature undeniable. And if the world found out the billionaire had abandoned a priceless treasure only to bully the man who saved it well, that could ruin anyone's reputation. But the billionaire wasn't playing fair. Because, as the farmer would soon discover, there was another secret about the horse. Something even more shocking. And once it came out, there'd be no turning back for either of them. What was the secret? And who would win the fight for the world's last Valentino? The courtroom was packed on the first day of the hearing, reporters scribbling in their notepads, curious townsfolk whispering in the back rows, and the billionaire's team of lawyers sitting stiffly in their tailored suits. The farmer, in his worn-out boots and calloused hands, stood alone at his table. He didn't have fancy attorneys or stacks of legal documents. All he had was the truth and the horse. The billionaire's argument was simple. The sale had been a mistake. He claimed the farmer had somehow known the horse's real value and manipulated him into selling it for nothing. But as the trial unfolded, cracks began to show in his story. Witnesses, former stable hands, and veterinarians who had worked for the billionaire testified under oath that the horse had been neglected for years. One even admitted, voice shaking, that they'd begged the billionaire to give the animal proper care, only to be ignored. Then came the farmer's turn. He didn't give a grand speech. He just told the judge how he'd found the horse weak, sick, barely able to stand. How he'd spent sleepless nights nursing it back to health, how it had slowly begun to trust him. And then, he did something no one expected. He brought in proof, a video of the horse running across his field, its movements fluid, powerful, undeniably Valentino. The judge leaned forward, eyes narrowing. But just when it seemed like the farmer might actually win, the billionaire's lead lawyer dropped a bombshell. "Your Honor," he said smoothly, "this isn't just about a simple sale. There's a legal document from years ago, a breeding contract that proves my client still has rights to this animal's bloodline." The courtroom erupted. The farmer's stomach dropped. He'd never seen this contract before. Was it real? Or was this another one of the billionaire's tricks? Outside the courthouse, the media frenzy grew. News outlets picked up the story, billionaire vs. farmer, the fight for a legendary horse, and suddenly, the whole world was watching. Animal rights activists protested in front of the billionaire's offices, calling him cruel for abandoning the horse in the first place. Meanwhile, elite horse breeders from around the globe started calling, offering the farmer millions if he'd sell them the Valentino, but he refused. This wasn't about money anymore. This was about justice. Then, late one night, the farmer got a call. It was one of the billionaire's former employees, voice hushed and urgent. "There's something you need to know," the man said. "That contract? It might not be the only thing they're hiding. The horse's previous trainer, he disappeared right after the billionaire sold it to you. And the things he knew, they could change everything." The line went dead before the farmer could ask another question. The next morning, as he walked into the courthouse for the final arguments, he noticed a stranger watching him from across the street, a man in a dark coat, eyes locked onto him. When the farmer tried to approach, the man slipped away into the crowd. Was he a threat? A witness? Or someone who knew the real reason the billionaire was fighting so hard to get this horse back? Because one thing was becoming clear, this wasn't just about wealth or pride. There was something bigger at play. A secret so dangerous, people were willing to lie, cheat, and maybe even disappear to keep it buried. And if the farmer wasn't careful, he might be next. The courtroom fell silent as the billionaire's lawyer placed a single, weathered document on the judge's bench. The paper crackled under the fluorescent lights, its edges yellowed with age. The farmer's heart pounded as he squinted at it from across the room. What was written there could decide everything. The lawyer's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "This contract proves my client retained breeding rights in perpetuity. That horse's bloodline still legally belongs to him." But then something unexpected happened. The judge frowned, adjusting his glasses as he examined the signature at the bottom. "This appears to be signed by a veterinarian, one who was banned from practice for fraud 5 years ago." A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The billionaire's face darkened. His perfect plan had a flaw. That night, the farmer sat in his barn, running his fingers through the Valentino's silken mane. The horse nuzzled his shoulder gently, as if sensing his worry. He'd come too far to lose now. But just as he was about to turn in for the night, his phone buzzed an anonymous text with an address and a time: midnight. Come alone if you want the truth about what really happened to the trainer. The old warehouse on the edge of town was shrouded in shadows when the farmer arrived. His boots echoed on the concrete as he stepped inside, the air thick with the scent of oil and hay. Then, a figure emerged from the darkness, the same stranger who'd been watching him outside the courthouse. "You're playing with fire," the man whispered. "That horse isn't just rare, it's the key to something much bigger. And the billionaire isn't the only one who wants it." Before the farmer could respond, a deafening crash echoed through the warehouse. A stall door flew open, and a massive black stallion charged straight toward them, its eyes wild, nostrils flaring. The stranger grabbed the farmer's arm. "That's another Valentino. They were never all gone. Someone's been hiding them." Tires screeched outside. Headlights flooded the warehouse through broken windows. The farmer barely had time to process what was happening before the stranger shoved a flash drive into his hand. "Take this. It's proof. And whatever you do, don't let them take your horse." Then, the doors burst open. Men in black suits stormed in, their faces unreadable. The billionaire wasn't with them. These were new players, armed with something far more dangerous than legal threats. One of them raised a phone, its screen glowing with a single image, a satellite photo of the farmer's land, his barn circled in red. "You have one last chance to walk away," the leader said, his voice ice cold. "Or this stops being a courtroom drama and starts being a tragedy." The farmer's grip tightened on the flash drive. He knew now this wasn't just about money or pride. This was about a secret worth killing for. The farmer stood frozen in the warehouse, the flash drive burning a hole in his palm. The armed men advanced, their footsteps echoing like a death sentence. But just as the leader reached for him, police sirens wailed outside, red and blue lights flashing through the broken windows. The men hesitated, exchanging panicked glances. The stranger from earlier had vanished, but he'd clearly made one last call before disappearing. The next few hours were a blur. The police arrested the men. Turned out they were hired mercenaries working for a secretive breeding syndicate that had been hiding Valentino horses for years, selling their bloodlines on the black market. The billionaire wasn't just after the horse for pride. He was tied to the syndicate, and the farmer had unwittingly stumbled into their dangerous world. With the flash drive's evidence, emails, bank records, even a confession from the missing trainer, the billionaire's empire crumbled. The court ruled in the farmer's favor. The horse was legally his. No loopholes, no tricks. The Valentino would never be taken from him again. But the real victory wasn't in the courtroom. It was back at the farm, where the horse, now strong, gleaming, and full of life, trotted freely across the fields, its legendary speed and grace undeniable. The farmer watched with quiet pride, knowing he'd saved more than just an animal. He'd preserved a piece of history that greed had tried to erase. News outlets dubbed it the Miracle Dollar Horse, and offers poured in documentaries, book deals, even a breeding program to revive the Valentino lineage ethically. But the farmer turned them all down. Instead, he opened a sanctuary for neglected horses, using his newfound fame to help others like the Valentino. The stranger who'd helped him? He showed up one day, not as a shadowy informant, but as a partner, ready to work honestly for once. As for the billionaire, his fall from grace was swift. Stripped of his fortune, his reputation in ruins, he became a cautionary tale, proof that no amount of money could buy back what he'd lost: integrity, legacy, and the respect he'd thrown away for greed. Years later, on a golden afternoon, the farmer stood by the fence as children laughed, petting the once worthless horse now celebrated as a living legend. He smiled, running a hand over the Valentino's star-shaped marking. It had all started with a single dollar and a simple belief that every creature, no matter how broken, deserved a chance to shine. And that was priceless.